We're on?
I think we're on.
Oh, this is exciting. This is our first. Is this a telecast?
It's not a telecast.
Because
it's
telling
anything
means,
but a telecast.
Telling means TV, right?
Yes.
All right. So are you going to be that? Are you going to be the guy who knows everything guy?
I'm not going to be the guy who answers direct questions.
No,
yeah.
but I would love it if, like, what's the difference between a radio wave and an isotoner glove?
One,
yeah,
it requires a third thing to be funny.
Right,
the
because
other
so much of my comedy,
is a glove.
Josh, you'll notice, the funny's over. I'm thinking the next line will say, the joke's over with isotoner and the other thing. Joke's over.
My theory, and I'm sure I'll repeat it throughout our series, is that the secret to Andy Kindler comedy is you either keep talking until it's funny, or you keep talking until it's funny that you're still talking.
Now I would like to say that that's a win-win, but I can tell you after 30 years of being on the road or whatever I'm trying to present myself as an old man.
Roger Miller, apparently.
That's right, Roger Miller. There's never a win-win. I've never had. I've had a couple of nights that are win-win, but there's no way that I would ever say, "Oh, I've beaten the system."
No, I think it's always you're right at even. It's like a change machine, really. Showbiz is like a change machine.
Well, I'm gonna say our names. I'm Andy Kindler.
And
Yeah, do that.
you
I like
were going
that.
to say our names. I thought you said.
Oh, and you?
And
no, I was going to do like the kind of like comedy duo thing
I
where we
already
both.
hate this podcast, by the way.
I know you do. And as soon as you said that, I hated it even more. But you know what? People know it's the first podcast, and they're thinking, let them get their sea legs, right?
I think they have that much good faith.
Okay, you can say your name though. I know
My name is J. Elvis Weinstein. You'll probably call me Josh.
right, but it's not Weinstein. Is the main thing.
That is the main thing. Yes, it is Weinstein. And
my name is Kindler, not Kindler.
Do people actually say Kindler though?
No, but what they do say, and this is very interesting. I always think when you preface something that's interesting, it never will be. But I would say 40% of the time, people say my name. They say Andley Kindler.
Really? So it's just a natural tongue twister.
But my theory is, if there wasn't Kindler, if there was no Kindler, they wouldn't say Andley, right?
No,
but
I don't think so. I think their mouth is preparing for Kindler while they're reading Andy.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing. This is why I wanted to partner up with you.
Yeah, I think we had a breakthrough there.
On a podcast. I think of you as a scientist, but I don't know any scientists.
I think of you as geographically the nearest comedian to me.
Yeah, that's why. Now, the name of our podcast is called Thought Spiral. Don't you think that's clever? Call up now and tell us. What's the numbers, Josh? Do we have numbers?
We don't have even listenership numbers.
We couldn't even have a call come in.
We could have a call come in, but it would disturb our podcast at this point.
I don't think that's ever. Now, I have to be careful because I have two different types of laughs. I have Andy Kindler's real laugh.
That was kind of your real laugh, wasn't it?
But then at the end, I put a little mustard on it.
You did.
You know what I mean?
It was presentational at the end, yeah.
So I don't want to get into that because it's like there are very annoying habits of comics. Like Dennis Miller, besides the fact that he seems to have, and allegedly has turned into a horrible person. He seems like a horrible person to me. I don't know why you hang out with him.
I saw him on a plane, and he was not the least bit horrible, I have to say. I understand.
How long ago was that?
I understand that he's putting horrible out there into the world, but I saw him help a woman put an overhead luggage piece in. I spoke to him briefly.
Oh, that's interesting that you say that because I normally assume that once I've judged somebody as somebody, they must be cartoon evil.
Right. Well, I think that's pretty much, that says... Anyone who's read your Twitter feed knows that's the case. That
you mean with
the least bit of disagreement makes someone Hitler.
Okay, now let me ask you this. I would guess that you follow my Twitter feed a little too much.
Well, I mean, I think...
Like you follow it as a
Too much is a dangerous term here because if you follow your tweet...
It's too much.
It's a little too much.
Right, because you're like a doctor. You're trying to figure out what's wrong with this guy.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I don't know what you get out of it.
The whole experience?
The whole experience,
or the ones where I go down a rabbit hole?
Well, no, I think I mean, obviously, I'm on Twitter a lot too. So but I take it. It's a broadcast medium for me.
Yeah.
It's not an interactive yell at people medium.
Right.
Whereas you seem to have it's much more of a sport for you.
No, it's an OCD behavior is what it is. And it's almost like I do have OCD. And let's get it out of the way early on.
Sure.
Thought spiral.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have OCD, and so when you have OCD, you tend to constantly spin off into I'm so OCD. I'm ADD and OCD, so I can't even. Sometimes I'll forget what I'm saying as I'm saying it. But the point is that you can't stop with Twitter. Someone who has what I have. It's not
so
good.
Is the OCD
so
manifesting itself by checking it constantly?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called, I'm also in therapy. I'm going to admit in this podcast that I am officially the oldest Jew to enter therapy.
Yes,
age 60.
Because I think people just assumed you're in therapy up until now.
I just thought people assumed I'm old.
Well, there's all of it.
No, I would think, yeah.
But at 60, going into therapy at 60 is unusual.
It's unusual because I'm a big Woody Allen fan, and so when I grew up watching, comedy based on
it's just
therapy,
built into neurotic Jew.
It's built in. Dr. Katz did it,
right?
So I would have.
And you were a famous guest on that show, which also suggests you're in therapy.
Now there's no. Now I asked you if you could lead me into that, but there was no reason. You could have waited till the second episode, but no. It's weird that because I didn't think what I had could be. I happen to have a weird thing, so as I thought, and I found this out later in life by checking with other people who and I'm going to name. Here's where I name drop.
Okay, good.
And I say something real, but you're never going to be able to figure out, did he do it just because Ray Romano's in it, or is he trying to make a point? But
But what name are you going to drop?
Ray Romano.
Oh, okay.
See, I told you in the old days you would get paid more for that because you were the straight man in that bit.
We'll keep a tab.
We'll keep a tab.
Yeah.
So I thought in my teens and 20s I had hit somebody in the street, like in my car, not walking.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a little more
Have
visceral.
Have I had a karate fight with someone that I don't remember? I bet if I brushed against somebody, that could do it. But no, being in cars is so dramatic.
I bet you could be haunted just as much by someone brushing up against you the wrong way.
Oh, sure. Well, that's also part of it. There's a comic, Aparna Nancherla. You know her? I'm always nervous I'm pronouncing her last name wrong. But she talks about she has OCD. I think she has OCD or something that she takes antidepressants for. But she says, like, did I look at that barista wrong?
Right.
Was I smiling at him? That's my whole life is
replaying the tapes over and over.
Yeah, and that's what Twitter effectively becomes is I can't separate it from my regular life because in my regular life whatever it is that's the current thing I'm going to want to be involved in, like answering machines.
Right. But on Twitter, the answer is yes, I did do something inappropriate, or yes, I did behave in a way that is going to piss off this other person.
How do you mean?
Like if you're looking at the barista, you're probably imagining it. You know what I mean? On Twitter, you're going, "Hey, Ricky Gervais, you're a fucking hack."
No, but
and that's going to cause conflict.
Well, first of all, I resent that you portray my material about Ricky Gervais. So it is not.
Tweet.
See,
That was
you
a single
sound
tweet.
you sound like a troll guy now.
Okay.
You sound like a troll guy. Oh yeah, Kindler. All you say is it's Ricky Gervais. I mean, seriously, if my stuff was that bad, I would not tweet that.
Okay, but it's not all
Have
gold.
I ever tweeted?
It's not all gold.
Well, that's
not
for sure.
all gold.
That is for sure. Well, wait a second now. There's two.
If you're going to go comic to comic, though, and I know we have a debate whether we're talking about there's a second comic in this fight because he's, disavowed comedy as something that's a craft or being hard. But
he says he knows how to do it.
He knows how to do it, yes, because it's easy.
He claimed it's easy.
Yes.
But it's not.
Well, yeah, I agree.
But the way he does it.
30
But
the
way he does it.
The way he does it is apparently
By the
easy.
way, apparently
it's very, very easy if you're Ricky Gervais.
Right. Now, so a lot of people would be listening to this podcast will go to IMDb immediately to find out our backstory. So I will say, just so you don't have to do that right now, we're both stand-up comics. We have a similar background, except I'm 60 years older than you.
Yes, you're actually that much old. I'm Gen X. You're a baby boomer. How about that?
Right.
And I started when I was a kid, but
I started when I was 28.
I started when I was 15. There you go.
And the reason why I'm saying these things is like from now on when I do other podcasts, I'm just going to splice in this part about me.
This is biographical.
Yeah,
chunk.
or you do it before. Roll it in before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, here's the thing.
Okay.
You're saying, this is the crux of my life right now anyway. My point is, here's how it could go for me. There's already a voice in me saying, why am I tweeting at Ricky Gervais? You stupid idiot. There's another voice in me that's saying, oh, look at this picture of Ricky Gervais in a crucifix position with a microphone. There's nothing funnier than this. There's nothing more important than talking about this.
Right.
So the question becomes, so there's a part of me that says everything I'm doing is wrong and it's all bad and I should just stop doing it.
Okay,
would be the
I don't
solution.
believe that. I don't believe that.
Right. The other part of me is wondering how people are perceiving me. And that's actually what makes the things continue.
Right.
I can't leave it alone because I have to be sure I have been proven right or that everyone in the world likes me.
Right. And that's how you're being perceived, I think, is that you can't leave it alone. That's the one thing that comes through. And now I think you're funny. I think, obviously, people are there on your side a lot of the time. But when you're talking directly to a guy whose whole thing is, I don't care what you think. Like, that's literally his hook.
Right.
Is I don't give a shit what people think. I'm so naughty. I'm so naughty. I don't care what people think.
Yeah, but here's the problem with what you're saying in terms of my life. The problem is that I can very easily figure out individual things of what I should have done, right? And you go, these 6 tweets were good, these 4 tweets were bad, right?
Okay.
But as a person, I can't live that way. I have to be able to go on in a way that doesn't say that I'm not in fear. So I'm normally in fear when I'm getting to these things.
And I totally don't. What I do respect is your lack of fear.
Well, I have fear, but the thing is, I'm trying to figure it out because it's the same thing. It's like I could envision a life where I was not doing comedy, right? I could say,
yeah, I can picture that.
I can envision a life, or I can envision a life where I'd be doing some other kind of comedy. But one of my afflictions as a person is to think that I have to justify why I'm going after Louis C.K. or why I'm going after these different people. And I think that's just another person in me who's trying to judge whether I'm okay or not. You know what I mean? Who's trying to judge if I'm okay as a person. So then I'm constantly, and that's just more obsession. It's just more obsession. It just goes round and round and round.
Right.
So I have to find my own balance, right?
Right.
It can't be from somebody else, even though you could be exactly right.
Oh, and I'm not giving you advice. I'm giving you my observations because obviously this is something you've examined.
Well, we've also established in our relationship that you've talked about this, and everybody in my life has brought up, what are you doing on Twitter?
Well, the thing that I find unattractive about it is being a scold. When you scold people on Twitter, even when it's news people, it's one thing to comment on somebody. It's another thing to directly address them and tell them they suck. It's a different energy.
Well, I don't think it's attractive, but I also think I'm angry. I mean, to me, it's like, when I watch these, I'll give you a perfect example. There's a guy, his name is John Allen. He writes for, I forget what he used to write for, but he just wrote a book about Hillary Clinton, he was on every single talk show.
Yeah, total hack book.
So my feeling is these guys, the media helped elect Trump. Now they're cashing in on their own incompetence. He's cashing in by perpetuating the lie that it was a doomed campaign, regardless of what anybody thinks about Hillary. That was a doomed campaign.
Right.
It's just not. It's just a false statement.
Right.
And if you're also complicit in the movement that made people think that Hillary was terrible, it's like so that it just makes me mad. So I guess I could say it, and I feel like they have a bigger megaphone, and they totally don't listen to any kind of feedback at all. And I don't necessarily even want to be nice to them in a way. Right. I want to say something. I don't want to be nice to Trump.
No, no, and certainly I address Trump both directly and
right,
indirectly.
but I think you see, obviously maybe I have yelled at people where I go, I wish I hadn't yelled at that person.
Yeah.
So I have regretted things, but I don't know what to say about when I feel like we're in the throes of this thing that's happening right now. It's like none of this has ever happened before for anybody live. What's happening right now,
right.
Which is this kind of social media and this kind of way of communicating and this much horrible things going on. I can't I don't think it's ever been time, and I don't walk around in a depression about it. I don't, but I am angry about it a lot, and I think objectively, except maybe the Cuban Missile Crisis or whatever, or beginnings of wars. There's never been anything more dangerous than what's happening now. And then
that doomsday clock is as close to midnight as
and the normalizing thing. The fact that people say that you're normalizing when people say that, it's like it's a word that almost gets overused. But the point is, it's not. There's something about me that is so angry about this because we are almost kind of it becomes a shtick about how little he knows. The media keeps lowering the bar in a way. I mean, I think some of the people in the media are doing a great job.
Right.
But by and large, it's awful.
Yeah, and to some extent, I don't, even when the news is getting reported, and lies are being called lies, it still doesn't have the effect that it seems like it should.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing that I would be getting upset about is like I can accept that I shouldn't do. I can accept. I mean, I know for a fact that if I wasn't on Twitter, and Twitter is the biggest example of this, just by numbers, people wouldn't know that much about my personality, right? So I know that if you looked at the ticker tape of it, you could see where it goes off the rails. But I haven't found a way to figure out what to do in life in general. I mean, I think I'm getting better, but I'm getting less angry.
Right.
Well,
and to me, I mean, it all comes back to that first question, which is I'm trying to figure out what you get out of the anger exchange. And if it's just off-gassing the anger.
No, I don't think I think the anger is a negative thing. I do think it ultimately that it's like when I argue with these new atheist people, it is because, I love my dad, but my dad could be like a person who would argue and you would feel like you couldn't, in other words, like he was very smart.
Right.
So I could feel really bad. And I could also feel like I had to convince him so it's like, it's these high stakes things. It's like if I'm a spiritual person, if I was comfortable, I also have doubts. So it's like, it's because of my own doubt. It's not because of my own doubts, but it's like, I don't trust my own. You know how you see people and you can tell that they are, like Brett Butler, for example. She's from the South. And you can tell that she has when she talks, she's aware that people will look at her, hear her accent, and assume that she's not bright. You know? And so I think that we all have I don't have that type of thing. Like where I know I grew up in New York. I mean, I had some advantages in terms of like perceiving, but there's a certain thing about how I don't trust my own intelligence sometimes. Yeah. And so it's like, then I really get like like a new atheist is going to humiliate me because I don't know really what all those different words mean.
Again, but you are engaging with people whose sole purpose is to engage in that kind of debate where they're going to belittle their opponent.
No question. And in fact, in therapy, my therapist, and I would never I've never realized this before, but my therapist is like, I'm recalling this. I had a podcast with this Josh Zepps guy, and
which people wrote about and stuff.
Yeah, wrote about. Okay, so I didn't know that he disagreed with me. I mean, I'm being just completely like telling. It's like I'm sure you know, like when you're in the business we're in, right. But that you have to be like. Sometimes people are up to stuff,
right?
In the media.
You thought you were going on an Allies show, essentially,
right?
And he brought you on to bait you, essentially. It sounds like,
but he didn't sandbag me.
Yeah,
I think he really thought Andy can't be thinking these things. So it was almost like I haven't listened to his show enough to know that he actually would be like, if I looked at his lineup now, maybe I would see, oh, he really is against religions and stuff. I didn't know that going in.
Right.
So I wouldn't have done it again going in if I knew it was going to be an argument.
Right.
And I kind of lost my temper on it. And, you know, I believe what I was saying was true. But the thing is like, I kind of got, I'm sorry, my mind went blank, but I kind of got out of control. Like, okay, so here's the thing. My mind went blank because that happens because of the ADD. But what happened was it was about Sam Harris. The thing was about Sam Harris.
Okay.
All right. Now my sister has told me, and I don't even want to talk more about Sam Harris right now. I mean, you can talk about him. I'm going to just say his name. Okay. But my sister said, she called me up and she said, don't mention his name again. Because that's what he wants.
Right.
And my therapist said the same thing because Sam Harris had talked. The guy read me an email where Sam Harris had talked about me, and Sam Harris had said that I was, what is it called when you're lying, libeling or slandering or whatever the thing it was.
Libel is in print and slander is spoken.
Yeah, I don't remember which one he was saying that I was doing. But to me, that meant like when I see that, it's like, oh, you're going to sue me because I think you're a bigot, right? That type of thing.
Right.
And when I got upset, my therapist said that's exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
So,
I would agree.
There's no way that I'm going to argue about that I'm right on these things where you can objectively see they're wrong, and hopefully I'm going to learn and not do it as much anymore. The question is, how do I do what I want to do, which is making fun of everybody? See, I don't really understand. I don't know.
I think the answer is, write your own thing. As opposed to engaging directly in hand-to-hand combat, formulate your own philosophy that you know.
Well, that's okay with atheism, but if I'm going to I'm never going to not make fun of things in popular culture. So
no, of course.
So Ricky Gervais is in popular culture.
Yeah, but
so people think
these are different angers that you have going too, though.
Oh, yeah. No. You mean the new atheist anger? No, First of all, a friend of mine took me aside about 7 months ago and said, you have to start a blog or something. It's like he's saying you're not going to win with this.
That's what I'm saying.
New
too,
atheist thing. Yeah, no, there's no question about it.
At least as opposed to trying to do it and right. Write what you think and let people come to that.
Right. But now,
or don't, but don't get so pissed off at people who are professional provocateurs.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
Or amateur provocateurs with a lot of time.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like I was blocked by WikiLeaks. Okay, so like that's so I was blocked by WikiLeaks, and then I started to get heckled from this account that had a lot of followers. Didn't follow that many people, but it was somehow hooked in with WikiLeaks, where they started heckling me.
Yeah.
And then I noticed after you went back 10 or 12 times, I started to notice once or twice that the English wasn't quite right coming back to me. So I literally could be arguing with someone who's Russian and they're paid to argue. Right. They may even be hitting just buttons.
Yeah, it could just be a bot. Yeah.
It's like maybe if you said to them, "Oh man, you're really getting this Andy Kindler upset," and they would go, "I don't even know what you're talking about." I pressed a 7, a 9. Right. I put Bossa Nova on it.
Control Alt Thin Skin.
Yeah. I went sexual slam. Sexual. I hit a button. I find a tweet. This button will find a negative tweet from anybody. That would be so easy to do, you know? Oh, really, Josh? How about when you said you're a mental pygmy?
Right. A pygmy? Yeah, I hate to see someone who I do think is very smart be baited. That's what I hate.
I'm on. The other thing is that people should know, because everyone should follow this podcast. This is our first podcast, and it's for sale. No, I'm on antidepressants, so I never was. See, I didn't get help for OCD until I was 60 years old. So, like, when I in my 20s thought I hit somebody.
Oh, we're circling back. Good.
Yeah, I thought I hit somebody in the car. I went to a free clinic in 1978 out here in L.A., and I said to the therapist, I think I've hit somebody in the car. And I had a lot of other classics. Like, I came back from Yosemite, and somehow I convinced myself I'd started a fire in Yosemite.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so these are things that are weird because they're disprovable through the news.
They're disprovable through the news, and also I don't think I could hit somebody in the car and not know I'd hit them based on some weird
really
sound.
Unlikely. It seems really unlikely.
And so anyway, Ray Romano, the name dropping was that Ray Romano had the exact same thing.
Really?
That I did. So, but when I went in 78, we compared notes later. He had frightened somebody going around the block, so he kept going around the block. He thought he would frighten them.
Yeah.
Because he was worried about them. Do you need a ride? Or you're okay? And they went, what? And then he went around the block again and checked. So it's like, and that's a very familiar feeling for me. So, but the lady said she had to go see her supervisor. That was the late 70s. And so I never really connected for some reason, or I didn't want to believe that it was something that I would have to get help for.
I'm sorry, I lost you at the lady had to go see her. The lady being the therapist at the free clinic?
Yeah, she had to go speak to her supervisor because she'd never heard of anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing too, Josh, that you might have to do on this podcast is you're going to have to remind me when I've made no sense.
That's okay. I'm keeping track. I'm paying attention.
Because I leave so many things out of the stories.
You got there. You got to the therapist.
So
did the supervisor come back?
No, I never went back. I found that discomforting that she didn't know that she said that.
Right.
And then, as my 20s went, this was what was bad. As my 20s went on, it became less of a problem. Like I would think about it for hours.
Maybe you just hit a dog.
No, I was just stopped thinking about it as much.
Okay.
So I thought, oh, wonderful. I beat that.
Right.
But I didn't beat that. It was just...
Maybe this turns into one of those podcasts that's an unsolved murder thing, though. Maybe you did hit that person, is what I'm saying.
This is the third spinoff from Serial.
That's right.
I love... Have you heard S-Town?
I have not.
Oh, so great.
I'm still on R-Town.
Thornton Wilder?
No, R. Just R, the letter R.
There is no such thing, though, is there?
No.
Why wouldn't you do an improv with me?
I know.
Where you would say Our Town.
I know, ended you.
I know. You could have gone Thornton Wilder. Now you're in my wheelhouse of comedy.
Right.
I've been using Our Town as a reference since I first started comedy as the category of things you've never actually seen, don't know what it is.
Right.
But you can reference it and people get it.
Right. Everyone's neighboring high school did Our Town.
And then there's a ladder in it, right?
There's a ladder. I think there's some there's a lot of framework.
Do you like that play, or you've never seen that play?
I have seen the play, but it didn't stick with me beyond being like the sort of frameworky stage sets. Yeah. And there's a stage manager, and there's a couple. That's what I remember.
So you wouldn't, if I was going to have you come up with a log line of what Our Town means?
It would be Thornton Wilder's classic play about life in a small town, as told through the theater.
Well, so where are we now? Okay, so I did. So I didn't get help for that, and I basically didn't realize that. And now I'm on antidepressants.
Okay,
so the antidepressants.
But there's 39 years between those two
things.
Yes.
Okay. So in those 39, it's just like it's like I would say I've been self-medicating my whole life, like coffee, trying to coffee my way through.
Yeah. And
coffee,
and
weed or whatever. But like I have ADD, so I'm treated for that, and I'm also treated for the other thing. And now I'm feeling less angry.
That's good.
So I think the thing that's extremely hard for me is that I cannot run away from what I've already. I sound like a criminal. I killed some people. I can't run away from. I can't run away from what's already happened.
Right.
And one of my things is to constantly reevaluate the past, to judge myself in the past.
Okay.
And I have to let that go.
Yeah.
And so I have to be able to go from here on without saying, like, didn't that one guy, Garth Brooks, do a whole thing when he went on Facebook? He said the whole thing, it was like a famous thing people send around about, I'm really looking forward to using Facebook. And it's an opportunity to talk. Does this ring a bell to you?
No. I'm not on Facebook.
So I don't want to be a person who is apologizing for who I was, but part of my condition is to think very negatively of myself.
Okay. So how can I help?
Oh, I think that how can you help?
Yeah, because I don't want to be negative about.
Well, first of all,
about
I don't know
how you're behaving. I want to figure it out, but I don't want to make you feel bad.
But that's interesting because I think that I've been like even in the course of this conversation, I've felt better. So like when we first started it, I could feel myself getting defensive.
Right.
Right? Because
I think that was probably my fault because I attacked you for your behavior on Twitter. But
well, no, but the thing is, like, we could put this in the. I don't know if we can mention this. We won't mention the guy's name, but we could put this in the, like, you know, there's the category when someone gives you too much feedback, and they keep giving you the feedback,
right?
And then they keep saying, "Look, the thing about it was,
right.
you know, I felt it should be this." All right, so we could be worried that we're going to get into like I could be worried that you're going to just yell at me, but I don't think that's what happens.
Yeah.
I think what tends to happen is that I take everything very personally,
right?
And so I need to learn not to take things personally. So you,
well, let me just tell you that as a comic, you're never going to learn to not take things personally. So
that's true, but
you probably can do it so it's not your need to punch back just out of reflex is
yeah. Well, Twitter's I mean, the thing is, I'm so scared of being in a physical fight. I'm so scared of so many things.
Right.
That
you're
Twitter
also
heightens.
a black belt in Taekwondo.
That is true.
Let's tell the audience that you're a black belt in Taekwondo who's afraid to be in a physical fight.
I'm a 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I've been doing it for like 24 years. Until just recently, but that's another story.
You have a black belt in dichotomies, is what you have.
Right, but I'm still very frightened of physical confrontation.
Have you ever had one?
I have not had one. I've had one when I was like 8 years old, and then the kid started to cry, and then I pretended like I'm not going to find him if he's crying. And then I had another one where these kids kind of beat on me a little bit because I was being obnoxious, and the counselor let them, but it wasn't. But I've never been hurt.
Yeah.
I've never been in a fight. How about you?
I've been in one street fight. It was a very strange.
Wow.
It was a very strange.
How did it happen?
I was at a party. I was probably 20. It was maybe 19 because I hadn't moved out to LA yet.
Would you consider yourself a Jewish tough?
No, I would not. I would consider myself someone who fears violence as well.
Don't start with me, Josh.
So I'm at this party with my friend.
How tall are you, though? Oh, you weren't tall then, right?
No, I was bigger then.
Okay, well, how tall are you now?
I was like 6'1", but I was like probably another 40. I'm a big guy, but I was probably like 40 pounds bigger even. I was like a big, fat guy.
Oh, when you were a kid? I forgot that you were, I forgot what you looked like when you were a kid.
Yeah, I had hair and I was fatter.
So, because you talked about it before.
So I'm at this party, and...
Tell me how old you were again. I forgot.
I think I'm 19.
Okay.
Friends, a lot of, basically Jewish college kids at a party. I think I might have even still been in college. Maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's all
what college did you go to? Because people are going to want to know this.
I went to University of Minnesota for a year and then dropped out to do Mystery Science Theater.
Wow.
Yeah. Nothing a Jewish mother likes more than, I'm dropping out of college to do a puppet show.
Yeah, but this was professional TV.
Yeah, well, it's still, there's no money, though.
Well, you could have lied about that. Mom, I'm getting you could have said,
Mom, I'm a TV star. Can I borrow $10?
Or why were you doing ventriloquism?
Because I was a puppeteer thing, like I said.
Oh, so because I should have tried lying more. Yeah, I had that deal with Comedy Central where I get the created by. Yes, I am being financially remunerated.
Yeah, no, I wasn't making much money, but
okay, so
they weren't going to stop.
You
me.
were like not at a frat house, just you weren't in a frat.
It was like in a frat house neighborhood.
Okay,
but it wasn't at a frat house; it was at someone's house. And we were sitting there, and somebody runs in the house and goes, "Hey, somebody come quick!" Like something bad's happening. So my friend Barry and I jump up and go out to help whatever's going to happen, not thinking that there's a problem like that. And we like sort of jumped down the front steps like Batman and Robin.
Did you think something bad was going to happen, or you didn't know?
We didn't know. It was just like someone came in panicking, going, "Somebody come quick!"
Right.
And what had happened was these three black guys had chased these two girls from the party who had gone out for a walk. They started following these two girls.
Right.
And then the two girls started going faster and faster and running and ran back to the party where the three guys were now parked on the front lawn of the thing, where my friend and I then jump into the scene and act like we're the guys who are going to stop these three guys.
Oh, my God.
So now we're faced off, and the littlest of the three guys goes to the biggest of the three guys regarding me, "Get him," because I'm obviously the biggest threat.
Oh, right,
because I'm the biggest guy. And and literally we started throwing punches at that point, and and
had you did you
I had never thrown a punch.
Did you take?
I took a legitimate fist to the face.
Oh, you took one.
I took one.
No. But I'm saying previous to this, you had no boxing, nothing, right?
No, nothing. I was on the fencing team for 6 months.
What kind of fencing? Saber or
foil? The others hurt too much. Saber hurt too much. So did epee. So yeah, there was, it was probably a 2 or 3 minute exchange of blows between me and a couple of my friends and these three guys. And then someone yells from the house, "The police have been called." And eventually, these guys walk off, and the police did come eventually. So yeah, that was and it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. The adrenaline was like flowing through me. But at least now, like, I know what it feels like to get hit in the face. Like,
and what did it feel like?
It hurts, but
did it smell? I've been hit in the nose a little bit by mistake, and as opposed to someone meaning to hit me in the nose. And it smells. I don't like that smell. Like
it has that sort of coppery, thing.
Yeah.
It's loud in a way that is nothing like it's loud in the movies. Like it doesn't sound at all like, it's like, it's a very loud, internal thumping kind of sound,
Were you able to hit back?
I hit back, and I think I landed. Yeah, I did hit back, and I landed a punch or two, and I think I landed a knee to the balls. Something very manly like that.
Wow! But so, were you scared throughout, or
terrified throughout? Absolutely,
terrified throughout.
Absolutely, coursing. Adrenaline coursing, trying not to cry. Almost that kind of scared, but also knowing that you're in a fight now. You can't. The fetal position isn't an option.
Well, it would be for me.
It's a tactic, but it wasn't.
I have.
But I wasn't. I was at the end of it. I wasn't like proud of how I fought. But I was proud that I didn't run.
Right.
And in hindsight, I'm glad that I at least have one piece of violence in my history to know what it kind of.
Yeah, I don't have that. So to me, it's like I feel like my whole life is a movie where I've been because I.
But it's like surgery. It's not as bad as you imagine it.
Every time I think of surgery, I think of Ben Carson. Now, I can't get it out of my mind that he is. Well, first of all, I don't want to accept that he's a good surgeon.
Did he ever get out of the elevator? By the way,
when was it? Oh, yeah, I think he did.
Okay.
Well, the joke. This is a bit. This whole Trump thing is a bit, right?
That's all.
And the bit is that everybody in charge of the individual departments does the exact opposite of what their department's supposed to do.
Right. Every department head, wishes for the destruction of their department.
Are you a big Rex Tillerson fan?
Who isn't?
Here's what I imagine is an example of Rex Tillerson's, what he would be good at. I would go with 87. What kind of car do you have? I would go with the regular. I would go with 87. Do you want a ticket for the car wash? Here it is.
Would it be at an ExxonMobil station?
I guess the joke was he only knows gasoline things. And then I was going to make the joke that, and not even like shares information, like how do they sell them, like agriculture? How does oil get sold? It's not right, because it's a cartel.
Well, I mean, they own the whole supply chain.
But the price never seems to vary, except for the price. But it's like everybody has the same price, pretty much, right? It's the government,
man. What the fuck
are
are you talking about?
No, in other words, like it's not a supply. It's not exactly supply and demand, because you have these OPEC nations, and believe
yeah,
me,
no, there are. Yes,
I'm not saying
there are
I'm
market.
knowledgeable.
There are market controls other than
right.
supply and demand. Yeah.
And the
well, but the people, those controls are supply.
Oh yeah, well, when you're saying when you were in the oil business,
yes.
you had to factor that in.
Of course. I got out because I'm allergic.
Is that true to petroleum?
No.
Okay, so if we ever write that as a sketch, it should be different.
Probably.
How long? Have
you should go along with
How long have we done on our initial podcast?
Let's take a look. Let's see where we're at.
If it's 12 minutes, I'll be so upset.
We're at like 42 minutes.
This is great. Now, I think a lot of people don't think of this like as a
thing to listen to.
A set of comedy.
Right. Don't think of it as a part of your life in any way. This
isn't a how-to podcast at all.
No.
But you're going to learn. You're going to learn. And now, are we making everything evergreen? Because here's the thing. You have more. Would you say you have more or less ambition than me, or more or less? What's it called? Give and go? Oomph?
In general?
Zets?
In general, or about this podcast?
In general.
No, I think you're more ambitious than me.
Well, then, therefore, we don't have that on our side for the podcast. Oh, no.
I have creative ambition, but you're still seeking fame.
Oh, that sounds... that sounds terrible. That's the thing I noticed about Trump recently, was that he talks about before I was famous. He goes, I wasn't even famous. And I start, it's very hard to get into his brain to see what he's really. I think he's evil, but it's hard to know what causes his condition.
It's all narcissism. It is all. Right. It is all 100% narcissism.
And tell for the layman out there, I'm presenting to the studio audience. For the layman, explain narcissism.
Narcissism is a pathological focus on oneself, how one is perceived,
How's that different from me?
I'm not going to necessarily distinguish for you. I'm not a professional.
Holy moly. Even my therapist doesn't say I'm narcissistic.
I don't think you're clinically narcissistic, no.
No, but you know what she does, though? This is true. I don't know if this is a bad sign. My therapist makes that crazy
she
sign.
Does the twisty finger?
She does the twisty finger around my ear while I'm talking to her.
Wow.
Like I am crazy.
Yeah, well.
Is that fun? Is that right?
I like the frankness of it.
Oh, my. And if we... 2 weeks from now, this is our first show, but when we start taking off, we're going to film it, because why not make it more awkward?
Right, absolutely.
And then people can see me. They can see me rotate my finger around my ear.
Right.
What were we talking about? See, I will never remember what we were talking about.
And no one else will either.
No, this is the problem with me and my stand-up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying there's a problem.
No, there's no problem. What possible problem?
It's very funny, right, Josh?
It's extremely funny.
Josh, do you see any reason why someone shouldn't hire me?
I don't see a reason ticket sales.
No.
But
No. Oh. What do you mean ticket sales? I'm doing progressively smaller rooms every year.
Well, that's good.
I'm doing the 15-seater tour.
That's good. Wait, 15 sold?
15 sold. 15 capacity.
The Always a Place for Your Purse tour?
Now, don't, people won't know that that's not, did you know that's in my act?
I knew that there was a joke like that.
All right, because I don't want people to, we've had a couple of big, I was going to pretend we had some feuds over material, but we haven't.
No, we don't do anything similar even, really. I lean into the mic sometimes.
Wait a second.
But it's to emulate you, though, when I do it.
You're similar to me. First of all, I don't know if anybody can tell. And you really couldn't tell unless you both saw us with our payas. But we are both Jews. And we were advised not to do a podcast together.
Yeah, it's going to be a lightning rod for hate. And it won't be anti-Semitic. It'll just be free-floating hate.
Do you think that people, like, let's say they knew there were two Jews hosting a podcast, would that help us, hurt us, or neutral?
If we were on the B'nai B'rith podcasting network, it would probably help us.
Is there a B'nai B'rith?
No. Well, there might be. I can't say
I would
definitively
hate,
there isn't.
I'm not anti-Semitic, although as a Jew, we all are.
Right.
We are self-hating.
For sure.
But I don't want to be on a Jewish-oriented podcast distribution system.
Okay, I think we can steer away from that.
Because you know what they say, right? Yiddish. Do you know this expression?
Finish?
Right Yiddish, cast British. I never can tell with Josh if he's heard of the thing that I'm referencing, but he's not impressed by it, or he hasn't heard of it and he's not impressed by it, or I'm reading too. Why do I need big reactions to everything? I think that's one of my big problems.
Whereas my strategy is if I don't react, I get more.
That's true. So were you saying like you're more like a W.C. Fields person?
No, I'm just saying that you're easy to play, as everyone on Twitter can tell.
Well, wait. No, okay, so wait a second. Oh, so you see this podcast as a duel, like you're a duel but I do saber. Where this is like I'm after your job and you're after my job, right?
If that's the sort of Sam and Diane like tension you feel like you need to build up as subtext.
See, that's the other thing that is that you are uniquely analytical. Like I could sit down all night and would not be able to pull out a Sam and Diane thing. First of all, that's 40, 50 years ago.
It is. It's a full generation ago, yes.
It's like almost like saying Trixie and Alice.
It is. A Fibber McGee and Molly. It's a Fibber McGee and Molly situation.
I love Fibber McGee and Molly as a reference because I have never heard them. Have you?
I have heard them as a radio show, yes.
And what's give me 3 seconds of what it would be like.
Don't open that closet!
Bling, 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 clang, clang, clang. Bling, 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 bling.
I told you not to open that closet.
And is it a married couple?
Yeah.
Fibber McGee and his wife Molly?
Yes. I'm going to go yes.
Figure McGee.
It's harder than Ansley Kindler.
What's the first name? Finger?
Fibber McGee.
Fibber McGee. Those were the days when you could let me think now. I wouldn't read into this, but is he like a person who lies?
You know,
is that part of the shtick?
I pretty much remember the closet gag. That's
Watch out, don't go in there. Boot me.
Oh, Fibber.
Well, they call that the golden age
of radio.
How do we now? I'll give you $1, not really, but a virtual $1 if you can tell me how we got into the Fibber McGee and Molly discussion.
We went from Sam and Diane through
right. Now that's why the name of the show. I was told when we went to that podcast workshop.
Yes.
That towards the end of your podcast,
justify the name.
You have to promote the name more, brand it. And it's almost like on the night on the news where they go, they wrap up a story, and that's a thanks that we'll be giving to ourselves. They try and make a Thanksgiving and then do a pun or something. That's the kind of thing we can all get behind. The last wrap up line. So we should be saying, and that's the kind of thought spirals.
Okay. When we get to the end, we'll do that.
No, I thought now and at the end.
Okay.
All right. I don't want... Now, should we have people write letters in?
You should definitely listen. You should definitely listen, and if you have comments, send them to Andy Kindler at Andy
at my
Kindler
Twitter.
At Twitter.
I think that's what's going to happen from this is that you're going to open every show with a review of my Twitter week.
No, I won't do it. We've seen that there's no fruit there, first of all.
Oh, no, we had a...
Oh, wait, it was the whole episode.
I almost cried. And I like when I become defensive because I actually feel winded.
That's good.
It's like, Whew, that was a tough half. I hope in the second half I come out more on the offensive. Let's pick on some of the stuff that you do. Let me see what you do.
Yeah.
But you don't have any. You don't have any flaws.
No, not a one.
I mean,
one.
I do think that you are a no drama Obama. And I hate to use
only in comparison.
Saying.
Yeah, well, a rhyming saying that.
But I would want to be if there was like you're like if you had to they say, are you a what's the name of the people in Sex and the City? Are you
like a Miranda or a Carrie? That's the only two I know, I think.
Right. So you would be more of a Sully.
I'm a Sully.
Right? You're a Sully.
Right.
I'm
yeah.
not. If
I
you
land
look at
the
me
plane, then I shit my pants later in private. Right.
But if you look at me,
you're more of a pre-traumatic stress syndrome.
Exactly. There's no way you could not, under any circumstances, see me as Sully in that plane.
Not as Sully. No, I can see you on that plane.
Well, dying.
I can't see you helping, but I can see you on that plane.
Right, because the idea is that I know immediately that I would make a decision that would be bad. I wouldn't wait. Like he, I'm sure, said,
you would have gotten mad. You would have gotten into an argument about whether you can get to Teterboro or not. You'd have gone, why are you questioning me about getting to Teterboro? I just said I can't get to Teterboro. I'm not going to make it.
Oh man, but you're the voice of the way Sully was, right? Negative. That's a negative.
We'll talk about Teterboro later. Let me save these people's lives.
I'm going to land on the Hudson River.
Right.
It's going to be tough, but I'm going to do it. Did he say that? Probably
no,
not.
He thought it though.
Did he say one small leap for me?
He said that's one bad day for a goose, one good day for a pilot.
Oh, I don't even know that reference. What's the goose?
The goose is what caused the plane to go down.
Oh, all these geese were flying around?
Yes.
They did? They
got
nailed
sucked
it
into
down?
the engines, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was never a mystery.
They actually clogged up the
They sucked into the jet engines and shut them down.
Now, have we at least eliminated all geese since then with some kind of poison?
They do. That is an issue around airports. They do have bird
Why are there
problems.
so many geese? And I wouldn't even imagine that geese got high up there.
He was taking off, if you recall.
Right, but he wasn't 4 feet from the ground, was he?
Well, but geese actually can get more than 4 feet above the ground.
I'm sure when they go on long trips.
Right. I don't even know if they were in that arrow formation when they
How
flew
much
in.
do you know about birds where you could keep talking about birds and have information?
Could
you talk about the
I can ornithologically bullshit for as long as you need.
Well, do we have the same respiratory? Here's what I'm going to reveal about this podcast, which I really think is going to be a big hit.
I really think so too.
It's making a lot of noise.
Absolutely. Yes, we are.
It's also causing Twitter wars.
You're going to bring bad things to my Twitter feed. I have a very peaceful Twitter feed, and you're going to bring
You're
bad
going to have
things
to
my
change your
Twitter
name
feed.
when this comes out.
I already changed it once.
You did? What was the
The
first
Elvis
one?
didn't come with my birth, I assure you.
Oh, okay, right, that's true. It did. I still think adding Elvis to your name will never become cliche. You know what I mean?
That's kind of why I went for it. Yeah.
It's so good. Well, especially Weinstein.
Yeah. Well, I did it to make my initial spell Jew. You know that.
Oh, I think you did. Wait, that was your main thing?
That was mainly it. Yeah. I liked Elvis Costello a lot too.
I mean, you're lucky that it wasn't during the blacklist when you probably try and hide from your Judaism.
That's true.
I don't know. Did they hide from the Judaism? I don't know.
I considered J. Einstein Weinstein as well, just because it would then be both spelled Jew.
J. Einstein
It
Weinstein?
would both spell Jew and be a pronunciation guide for my last name.
That, I might have made that choice, but you can't go wrong with Elvis.
No.
Now, Josh, do you remember what we were talking about before this?
Before the podcast, or
No,
before
right
we went
before.
down the thought spiral of my name?
Yeah. See, that's the name of the show, Thought Spiral. So if you think, you can't, there's no way critics can say, oh, it didn't, Thought Spiral didn't have enough story for me.
Right.
Because that's not what we're about.
No. We could call it Jews digressing as well, but...
But I digress.
Right.
Right.
But then there would be a topic at hand, which there never really was.
And that's what I was afraid of. We had a lot of meetings about this.
Yes.
about what we should
Nothing
do.
from the dry board made it into this.
For some reason, Josh and I thought to make a podcast, so we'd have to have pre-production,
Right.
that we have to hire writers,
Right.
and we have to use a dry erase board, and we came up with all of these different B stories.
Absolutely. There's cards on the cork board.
We decided,
the
you know
whiteboard
what?
is-
Let's not do that. Let's not make it a what do they call those things? Radio plays. With the door opens. Hello, Professor Henderson. Yes, I'm an old lady. What do you want today? What? What do they call those?
I'm not going to answer because you keep describing it hilariously.
Hello. Hello. Welcome to the inner sanctum. Do you think there was a time period in America where people were easily frightened?
I think there was. I think War of the Worlds is a pretty good example of that.
Now, do you believe, we know the moon landing didn't happen,
Sure.
right?
Right.
We know that JFK got killed exactly like the movie JFK,
Right.
with every conceivable theory.
Right. We know that 3 million illegal people voted in the last election.
Yeah, and that's just for the ladies. No, what were we talking? I forgot what we were talking about.
I don't. You're looking at me like I actually know, and I don't.
Okay, here's the thing. One of us has to be like a timekeeper or
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. Well, the thing says.
What are we at now?
I think we're showing our hand by letting people think we're stretching.
Well, what does it say?
It says 58 minutes.
Let me say this. This is not going to be one of those podcasts that's like slick,
Endearing,
prepared, substantial,
listened to,
watchable. This isn't watchable. Enduring. And this is a joke I want to do in my act, and I want to see what you think about it.
Okay.
That's a bad way to intro it, but our podcast, I think, should only be available on vinyl.
That's for your act?
It is for my act, but
Okay.
also, it's not only for my act, Josh, but I'm rolling it out right here
Okay.
on the podcast
And it's only available.
on vinyl. This podcast will be available on vinyl. So here's what we're saying. You cannot download our podcast.
Right.
You have to go to Warehouse Records, Music Plus, Sam Goody,
Great American Music locations, Musicland.
Musicland, and you have to buy a physical copy of it, which is also a limited edition.
Right.
Not everybody will get to hear an hour of rambling.
But it is a pictodisc.
What is the Pictodisc?
It's with a disc with a picture on it.
Now, you have an extensive Laserdisc collection, I understand.
Of course, the biggest.
I want to just say one thing. I know you pitched me a lot of different ways of ending the podcast. You said, are we going to do What Have We Learned? I said, no, Josh. No, What Have We Learned?
I just want some credit for yes-handing you on the Laserdisc thing so quickly.
Hey, that's the thing that's going to be nice about this podcast is that, first of all, I'm trying to sound... I always knew if I ever had a... People always say, you should have a podcast. They said it to me, and I'm not lying like a lot of comics do.
No, I believe people said that to you.
You should have a podcast.
I mean, I think you probably are past the point where you should have started, but yeah.
In general, as a career, I'm past where I should have started.
Right.
Everything now is... Do you know how excited I get by the portable, downloadable residual app from SAG-AFTRA?
What'd you get? What does it
I just saw the advertisement for it today because I know John Roberts, who's on Bob's Burgers. He said that's all he does all day is these checks on his residuals.
Really?
And I'm ready to wrap it. I'm ready to wrap it up. I'm at this point in my life where I'm hiding the AARP advertisements. You know they say your card is inside, but they don't say they're AARP.
Oh, right.
Right. Then you open up and I get so angry. See, that's anger that will never go away.
It's free. It's them trying to slip ARP cards into your life.
But then somebody is organizing something around the end of our life. Hey, we're the people heading to
They're
death.
just trying to get you discounts. That's
I know.
all they're trying to do.
Can't we just get the
They're
discounts?
a huge lobbying group.
Well, let's call it something else.
Fox fans?
What's that?
Fox News fans?
No, how about like silver and what's it called when you're silver and gray? And
Silver Foxes of America Association. SFA.
What do we call old people? Hey, old people who need coupons organization.
I think that AARP pretty much sums that up at this point.
Okay, now
that they've branded that pretty well.
I'm older than
You're running from your mail. They've branded it so well.
I'm older than you, right?
Yes.
What is it that I can get that you can't get now?
Cancer? I'm kidding. I already had cancer.
He's already had cancer, and this is his favorite joke now, is to rub it in that he doesn't have it.
That's it. I just love lording my cancer freedom over everybody.
And you use it a lot to get discounts, don't you?
I do. At the weed store.
Yes. Well, you don't get discounts at the weed store, do you? That would be great.
No.
Why did I even buy it? Because your acting is so good.
Store.
You're so deadpan.
When I was 16, my friend, the same friend who was in the street fight with me, in fact, when he got his driver's license, he called me up and said, "I got my license." And I went, "Cool. Did you get your free gas coupon?" He went, "What?" I said, Amoco's doing this program where they give you $100 free gas when you get your driver's license, because they want customer loyalty.
You made it up.
I made it up. Absolutely.
I totally bought that.
Yeah, so did he.
The way you said it again,
So did
because
he.
you said it so...
It sounded totally logical. Usually I can't keep a ruse going very long, but...
A ruse?
A ruse.
I wish our life was like The Sting. The Sting...
Our life could be like The Sting.
Because it's
except
like...
it would end in jail.
Who got it in... Paul Newman ended up in jail?
No, I'm saying if we did it.
Oh, no. We're all doomed. See, this is the thing. The reason why I wanted to start this podcast was that we're all doomed. But we don't want to be a downer about it.
Right.
The apocalypse is coming. Those people who say, just one term for Donald Trump. Forget it, brother. If he's around for 4 years, there's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not going to be good. You better, and so also as part of our podcast, we will be accepting survivalist sponsors.
Right, especially food dehydrators.
Yeah. Now, do you have a vacuum sealer?
No, I don't.
Do you think
If I was dealing pot, I would, for sure.
Oh, I don't think you should talk about dealing pot on your podcast.
Well, I'm saying if I was dealing pot, which I'm
But
not clearly
that's-
because I have no vacuum sealer.
Yeah, but they'll just take the part of the podcast where you said, so sell pot.
Okay.
You know what? I love the idea of thinking that we're big fish that people are going after, either comedically or in the drug field.
Right.
That we're under demand.
Yeah, I have a friend who got mad at me for referring to pot in text.
Oh, I know, understand that. My wife would be that way too. You shouldn't do it. And what was your?
Because he was like, people are monitoring. I'm like, you know what? I really would rather that the people monitoring us know about your 1/8 ounce of Skywalker OG than me going, the package is in the house. Allah be praised.
Well, you see, I don't think you should be adding red flags like Allah be praised.
Well, I would. If that person made me use code, I would for sure.
Yeah, I go, this is going to be like a jihadi for your emotions, the weed.
Right.
Why couldn't I? I'm a comedian. I should
You
be able
and
to come
the
up with a joke.
infidels will love this.
Whether you're in heaven, I don't know. I was going to do another cliche about 72 virgins.
Right.
You know what? I don't want people to take from this podcast that we're slamming
Islam?
Muslim. That's
No,
why
I think
this is
if
exactly.
you take away anything from this
not
podcast,
slamming
it's that we're
Muslim.
not slamming
We're
Muslim.
pro-Muslim, and we're also pro-Muslim advertisers. I want to get advertisers. I want this to pay off, this podcast. I mean, I want it to be informative, but I also want people to be like, I got to have a T-shirt.
Right. Yeah, I think it's going to be another future episode that does that for us.
A You're Joshing mug.
No.
Well, what do you think? How are we doing? I mean, this is the first. It's very It's not in a way. It's nerve-wracking because I know that this is going to go to the Television Hall of Fame one day.
Right.
That this is the beginning.
It's the beginning
of what is going to be the world's greatest podcast. And I just, I'm concerned. Will I be able to handle the fame?
I'm fairly certain you will handle it poorly, but I feel like the podcast listeners will enjoy your dissent.
maybe you should be my negative life coach.
think,
That should be a running
I think
thing.
that's the rule.
So like every week, we're going to do this show once. We've committed to doing it once a week. We don't care if you listen to it.
Right, and you won't.
We're brought to you by the self-deprecation people.
Yes.
Thinking poorly about ourselves for hundreds of years.
That's right. Let's give ourselves a pat near our back. Yeah, I think that's a show.
I think it's a show, too. Is there anything you want to plug? Because, well, actually, we don't know when this is coming out.
We don't know when it's coming out, but follow Andy on Twitter at Andy Kindler.
Yeah, what about
follow
you?
me at J. Elvis Weinstein.
Do you have any merch?
No, but I'm going to have movies coming out soon, so I'll be plugging those on the Twitter feed.
I wish we had and that's the way, and that's the way it is. I'm Andy Kindler.
And I'm J. Elvis Weinstein.
And wherever you believe it's going to happen, there you go again. All right. That's just a placeholder for when we have.
That's the thing that involves Thought Spiral.
Right.
Shouldn't it probably have the name in it somehow?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because The View, they say.
Don't let things spiral out of control till next time, or something like that.
I like that. Well, The View says enjoy the view.
Okay.
Which I hate. But if you're in prison.
So nothing like that is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
And so next time, don't let your thoughts spiral. I think you already said this. So here, folks, maybe we can have a contest. But here's the thing. I'm not good at ending my show on stage, right? Like we had to solid out.
Right.
We didn't do it.
No.
But maybe you could be like, okay, Andy.
That's going to be my role.
Do you think it should be more awkward ending to the podcast? Or
I
you
think
we
so.
can
I think if we actually
that?
cut it off mid-where.
I don't know if I like that.
I
You know what I like? I like fading out. Like fading out. If we want to fade out, should we fade out by continuing to talk?
I guess so.
Or should we
just
fade out by
keep
talking
talking, and we just keep talking no matter what happens, and it just fades out.